Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. Now, occasionally, for reasons I can't even begin to explain, I completely forget about certain retro games which really shouldn't be forgotten. A particularly good example is Terra Cresta. There were official conversions, and of course there is the actual original arcade coin-op. And when I did my review of Hybris for the Amiga, I never mentioned Terra Cresta once because I'd completely forgotten all about it, despite the fact that Hybris is as shameless a clone of Terra Cresta as you can possibly get. However, sometimes I forget about games which should never be forgotten. Indeed, the fact that I forgot about them is nothing short of criminal. And Wizard of Wor is most definitely one of them, which is the game we have here. The coin-op original was Midway coin-op, released way back in 1980, and if I was to say that it always struck me as being a sort of hybrid between Berserk and Gorf, that pretty much tells you that it is a game that cannot fail to be fucking superb in my books. The actual Gorf content is pretty much limited to the very heavy visual effects that you get in there, plus the synthesized speech that plays throughout. It sounds identical to the speech in Gorf. Now, this is a Commodore 64 conversion. This was published by Commodore themselves and was released in 1983. So a very early Commodore 64 game, and a lot of people make the assumption that because it's an early Commodore 64 game, it's not going to be a very good conversion of the coin-op original. Well, let's get a game underway and we'll see how accurate that assumption is. So the music is spot on, the sound effects are there, and as you can clearly see, the graphics are there. So the gameplay, it does look rather simple. You need to destroy each of the monsters within the maze, and you really want to do it as quickly as possible because they start to move around pretty quickly, and if you take too long, they will actually turn invisible, and then you need to use the radar at the bottom of the screen there in order to find them. So with the first wave dealt with, then you get these next lot that appear. You get several of them turning up before you then actually go through to the next level. There we go. So you emerge from the standby area and head straight in. Now on this level, when you get to the end, there is a particular enemy that crops up who you definitely want to destroy, because destroying him means that the third dungeon will score double points, which I am quite keen to get hold of. Now, back in the day when I used to play the arcade original, I considered myself not too bad at it. However, it has been over 30 years since I last played either the arcade, the coin-op original, or this Commodore 64 conversion. So, yeah, Alright, here we go. That's the fucker I need to take out. There we go. Right, and now that's one of the actual wizards. If I can take him out as well, I get a hefty bonus. I think I got him. And of course now this dungeon is worth double points, as you can see. Double scored dungeon there. So the actual presentation of this conversion is absolutely identical to the coin-op original. And I mean, you can't argue with that. Like the coin-op, the dungeons or the maze, whatever you want to call them, are somewhat random in their design, and also they allow simultaneous two-player. I think this is one of the earliest games, certainly of this ilk, that featured simultaneous two-player. Alright, now it's this fucker again. Oh, he fucking got me. There we go, yeah, the warlock. So, I've not done quite well for some time. That 72,300 score is one of my scores. It was actually my first go since I rediscovered this game. I found it purely by accident. I was looking through the Polar Venturous channel, and let's get another game underway, and stumbled across this, and I thought, I know that title. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I can't believe I'd forgotten about this. So straight away I had to I just had to get the game and reacquaint myself with it. So let's get the review underway then. Graphically, okay, the sprites are for the most part monochrome. They don't have quite the detail of the coin-op. That in itself is not a huge problem, because they still are instantly recognisable as the graphics of the coin-op. Likewise, the sound, okay, the audio effects in the coin-op are quite yeah, they're very heavy on the old audio and visual effects. So they're not quite the same. That does not mean they are no good though. They're certainly, again, recognisable as being from the the coin-op game. You certainly recognise them straight away as, oh yeah, right there, that's Wizard of Wor. Oh, you fuck it, there we go. Right, now to try and catch this fucker before he runs off. There we go. That means double score at the next dungeon. Voila. So when you consider that this is a conversion that was made in 1983, they've done a fucking good job of it. It's instantly recognisable, both graphically, well, in terms of graphics, in terms of audio, and in terms of gameplay. They've got it all there. And when it's a game that is as good as this, that's quite an achievement. I know there will be plenty of people saying, oh, it looks really basic and all this. You know, I don't give a fuck that it looks basic. It's still fucking good. I mean, Berserk looks basic, but I consider Berserk to be one of the greatest games ever made. I really didn't want to do that, but I'll take it. That fucker is now going really bloody quick. There we go. Right. One more. He's now moving so fast, I really need to wait for him to come to me. Oh, fucking. See, this is the problem with taking too long to get through the level. He's now hanging around where I would be coming out. There we go. Come on, you fucker. There we go. And then I managed to get in pretty quickly. So again, next dungeon is double score. And I got an extra life. So some of the layouts of the dungeons are a real pain in the arse. Thankfully this one is quite simple actually. I shouldn't have too much trouble. Famous last words. They are starting to speed up again. And they're constantly hanging around this one area. I think these last two. Oh, you couldn't fucking fire the next shot in time. And now they are moving really fucking fast. We've got one. There we go. Now this fucker. And he escaped. So, not getting the double points this time. That was close. I don't think I really had much chance of getting out of there. Well, there you go. So that is Wizard of Wor. I think it's fucking superb game. I've been a fan of this game for years. I think I first saw it in about '82. So the game was a couple of years old then, and I've been a fan ever since. Although this conversion came out in '83, I didn't get it until about '85. But I just think it's a superb game. It's great as a single player, but it's even better as a two-player. If you get the chance to play it as a two-player game, then do so. I think the coin-op original, there's always two players. The second player is computer controlled if you're only starting a single-player game. So what do I rate it? It's an excellent conversion. The speech is missing. That's understandable. The very heavy-duty visual effects, like the explosions and stuff, they're not there. And the graphics, for the most part, are all monochrome, but it really doesn't suffer as a result of any of that. So I scored this 9.5 out of 10. It's a superb game. If you have even the slightest interest in retro gaming, you have got to play this now. It's as simple as that. So that brings this review to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.